You wake up tired. Not the normal kind of tired, not the I went to bed a little late kind, the deeper kind. The kind where even after 8, 9, or 10 full hours of sleep, you still feel completely exhausted. You lay there under the covers, staring at the ceiling, feeling a heavy, invisible weight pressing down on your chest. Your limbs feel like lead, your eyes sting. So you check your phone. Maybe the bright blue light will shock your brain awake. Maybe scrolling through your feed will give you a quick hit of dopamine to jumpstart your day. One more video, one more post, one more email. But somehow, it only makes it worse. The minutes slip away, and before your feet have even touched the cold floor, before the day has even officially started, you already feel completely drained. And the scary part is, you've gotten used to it. At some point, being chronically tired stopped feeling like a temporary phase. It stopped being a bad week. It became your default state of existence. It became a core part of your identity. You tell yourself the same old lies every single morning. I'm just busy right now. I'm just getting older. I'll catch up on my rest this weekend. But the weekend comes and goes. You sleep until noon. You do absolutely nothing. And somehow, you still feel exhausted. Not just physically, mentally, emotionally, existentially. If you're like me, or my buddy Jeffrey, you probably went looking for complex, high-level solutions to fix it. You started treating your human body like a broken checklist, trying to diagnose a hidden glitch in the system. Sleep? Yeah, I get a reasonable amount. Food? I eat 3 meals a day. I even ate a salad on Tuesday. Exercise? I mean, I walk around. I do some push-ups every now and then. So why do you still feel like a walking extra from a zombie movie? Because you passed right over the basics, you started looking for miracle hacks. You wonder if you are secretly allergic to gluten. You wonder if you have a rare iron deficiency. You start researching how to decalcify your pineal gland. You wonder if your energy is low because Mercury is currently in retrograde. Or maybe, just maybe, Jeffrey, your fundamental daily habits are completely broken. We live in a world where we constantly skip over the unsexy, boring fundamentals in search of a magic pill or a secret supplement that will instantly cure our fatigue. But it turns out the basics were the problem the whole time. If you don't nail the foundation, the skyscraper falls down. Let's talk about how to actually rebuild your baseline energy from scratch. Let's start with the absolute biggest culprit, the juice, caffeine. Almost everyone uses it, and almost everyone is completely misusing it. You probably think you are a caffeine expert. You know how it works. You tell yourself, as long as I don't drink a double espresso right before I shut my eyes, my sleep is perfectly fine. But caffeine is an incredibly sneaky molecule. Most people think a cup of coffee lasts a few hours. In reality, caffeine has a half-life of roughly 5 to 7 hours. Let's break down what a half-life actually means for your brain. It means if you drink a big cup of coffee at 4 p.m. to survive that brutal afternoon slump at work, by 11 p.m., when you are trying to wind down, 50% of that caffeine is still fully active, swimming around in your bloodstream and binding to your brain receptors. And it doesn't stop there. By 5 a.m., while you are deep in sleep, 25% of that original 4 p.m. cup of coffee is still throwing an absolute rave in your central nervous system. Now, you might claim that you can drink coffee late in the day and still fall asleep instantly, and that might be true, mostly because your body is so utterly exhausted from merely existing that you pass out from sheer fatigue. But there is a massive difference between unconsciousness and high-quality restorative sleep. Your brain isn't getting into the deep, slow-wave sleep it needs. It's barely skimming the surface, trapped in a shallow loop. While you sleep, your body is supposed to be doing heavy maintenance. It is trying to purge cellular waste, repair torn muscle tissues, secrete growth hormones, and process your memories from the day. But when your system is flooded with leftover caffeine, it severely interrupts and blunts these vital biological processes. You wake up the next morning with what feels like a sleep hangover. So what do? You reach for an even bigger cup of coffee, creating a vicious, never-ending cycle. To understand why you feel so tired, you have to understand a chemical called adenosine. From the moment you wake up, adenosine builds up in your brain like water behind a dam. The longer you are awake, the more adenosine accumulates, creating what scientists call sleep pressure. This pressure is what makes you feel naturally sleepy at night. Caffeine doesn't actually give you energy. It is an imposter. It goes into your brain and physically blocks the receptors that detect adenosine. It tricks your brain into thinking you aren't tired, but the adenosine doesn't disappear. It keeps building up behind the dam. The moment the caffeine finally wears off, the floodgates open, and the massive wave of accumulated adenosine hits your brain all at once. That is the dreaded afternoon crash. So here is the simple, non-negotiable tweak. Establish a hard cutoff. No caffeine past 12 p.m. noon, period. You get your morning jolt, you ride the wave, and when the afternoon slump hits, you accept it like an adult. You take a walk, you drink some water, but you do not reload the caffeine. Because when your head finally hits the pillow tonight, you want your brain completely clear so you can get the actual deep rest your body is begging for. The second major issue is how we view sleep time. Everyone has heard the golden rule. You need 8 hours of sleep a night. So, you do some quick math. You get into bed at midnight, you set your alarm for 8 a.m., and you assume you just checked the box for a perfect night of rest. But your math is completely wrong, because you are forgetting about sleep efficiency. It takes the average healthy human 30 to 45 minutes just to transition from being fully awake to falling asleep. On top of that, you naturally wake up multiple times throughout the night night for brief moments you don't even remember. If you are physically in bed for exactly 8 hours, your actual sleep time is likely closer to 6.5 or 7 hours. Do that for a few days in a row, and you enter chronic sleep deprivation. You don't just need 8 hours of sleep. You need to give yourself what scientists call a larger sleep opportunity window. If you want to realistically get 8 hours of actual high-quality sleep, you need to be physically lying in bed for 9 hours. You have to account for the buffer time. But even if you give yourself a 9-hour window, there is another silent villain lurking in your room, destroying your energy levels: the light. Your body operates on a biological clock called the circadian rhythm. This internal clock relies almost entirely on environmental light cues to understand whether it is daytime or nighttime. It dictates when your body should release cortisol to give you energy, and when it should release melatonin to make you sleepy. When you lay in bed at 11:30 p.m. with the lights off, staring directly into a glowing smartphone screen bright enough to light up a stadium, you are completely ruining the system. Your eyes feed that bright blue light directly to your brain, and your brain genuinely believes it is high noon on a sunny Tuesday. It immediately halts the production of melatonin. Your mind is racing, your biology is confused, and your sleep quality drops off a cliff. The fix is simple, though it requires actual discipline. No screens in bed, keep the phone out of arm's reach. And when you do sleep, you need to turn your bedroom into an absolute dark cave. Even tiny amounts of ambient light from the street, a digital clock, or a television standby light can pass through your eyelids and disrupt your sleep cycles. If you have to, pin a thick black blanket over your window to block out the outside world. Yes, it might make your bedroom look like the sketchy lair of an absolute psychopath, but hey, at least you'll be a highly energetic, well-rested psychopath. Oh, and while we are fixing your sleep environment, let's address one more weird but life-changing trick. Stop breathing through your mouth like a distressed pug. When you lay down at night, your nasal passages can naturally get a bit congested. Most people default to opening their mouths to breathe. This causes shallow breathing, lowers oxygen saturation, causes dry mouth, and guarantees you will wake up feeling groggy and dehydrated. Fix your breathing. Get some over-the-counter nasal strips, slap one on your nose before bed, open up those airways, and breathe like a champion. Your morning self will thank you. Now let's pivot and talk about the physical side of the equation, the paradox of movement. There is a fascinating, undeniable link between your physical body and your psychology. Most people look at human energy all wrong. They think their body operates exactly like a smartphone battery. They assume they start the morning at 100%, and every single time they move, take a step, or lift an object, they drain a percentage of that battery. Therefore, they think the best way to preserve energy and avoid being tired is to sit perfectly still and exert as little effort as possible. But the human body is not a static battery. It is an adaptive engine. There is a fundamental rule baked into the fabric of the universe. That which costs energy gives energy. When you regularly expend physical energy, your body realizes it needs to keep up with the demand. It responds by creating more mitochondria, increasing blood flow, and raising your entire baseline level of daily energy. The less you move, the more sluggish your body becomes because it assumes you are in hibernation mode. It turns down the power. But here is the modern trap that catches almost everyone. Maybe you think you're totally fine because you hit the gym for 45 minutes a few days a week. Our boy Crimson hits the gym hard. He focuses on intense calisthenics, mastering advanced pulling movements and knocking out flawless chin-ups with a strict, inverted, palms inward grip, of course, because we aren't savages out here. He gets an incredible pump, works up a sweat, and feels great. But then, right after the workout, he goes home and sits in an office chair for 10 hours straight without moving a single muscle. Going to the gym for 45 minutes does not magically cancel out a completely sedentary lifestyle for the remaining 23 hours of the day. Sitting completely still for hours on end causes your blood to pool, your lymphatic system to slow down, and your metabolic rate to drop. It literally drains the life force right out of you, making your brain feel cloudy and slow. You have to find ways to inject movement throughout your entire day, not just during a workout window. Consider investing in a standing desk. When you stand up while working, your body receives a continuous baseline biological signal that you are active, engaged, and alert. Standing up naturally lowers your baseline stress hormone, cortisol, and alters your posture. It triggers a physiological response similar to power posing, which naturally boosts your inner confidence and keeps your mind awake. If a standing desk isn't an option for you, then set a timer. Every single hour, force yourself to get up out of that chair. Walk around the block, do 10 air squats, jump up and down, or if you want to keep it interesting, just aggressively pace around your room while muttering your goals out loud. Your neighbors might think you've lost your mind, but your energy levels will absolutely skyrocket. Just move your body. Finally, let's briefly touch on the subject of fuel, because your diet plays a massive role in how you feel. Even though the internet has made the topic entirely too complicated, every corner of social media is screaming a different philosophy at you. One person says you need to eat only raw steak, another says you need to be strictly vegan, someone else is pushing keto, and another is telling you to fast for 3 days straight. It is mostly just loud, confusing noise designed to sell you something. Let's strip strip away the nonsense and look at the basic reality. If you are constantly fueling your body with highly processed, engineered garbage out of a crinkly plastic bag, you are going to feel like garbage. If you are drinking more liquid sugar, sodas, and synthetic energy drinks than actual clean water, your system is going to be wildly unstable. When you consume high-sugar foods or heavy refined carbohydrates, you cause a massive, unnatural spike in your blood glucose levels. You get a temporary, artificial burst of hyperactive energy. But what goes up must come down. Your body releases a flood of insulin to handle the sugar rush, causing your blood sugar to crash below baseline an hour later. That is why you feel completely comatose, heavy, and brain dead right after lunchtime. You do not need a magical, ancient, ancestral diet plan to feel human again. You just need to have some self-respect and eat real, single-ingredient whole foods. Drink enough water so your brain isn't shrinking from dehydration. Keep it simple, keep it clean, and stop sabotaging your engine with cheap fuel. If you actually commit to dialing in your sleep opportunity window, if you strictly manage your afternoon caffeine intake, if you force yourself to move your body consistently throughout the day, the heavy, suffocating fog you've been living under will finally begin to lift. Being chronically tired, sluggish, and unmotivated is not your permanent genetic destiny. It is not an unchangeable reality of getting older. It is simply a logical symptom of a modern, high-stimulation environment that is perfectly designed to drain your battery to zero. But you have the power to take the control back. You have the exact blueprint to fix it. That version of you that feels vibrant, sharp, and truly alive. The version that actually has the drive and the raw energy to chase down your biggest goals, build your business, and dominate your life. That person isn't gone forever. They are just deeply exhausted, and they are waiting for you to finally wake up.